It is now my honor to introduce our guest speaker. Chairman Steve Chabot represents Ohio's 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. He served on the House Small Business Committee since first being elected to Congress in 1994. During this time, he's made small business growth and job creation a top priority. Chabot served as ranking member of the Small Business Committee from 2007 to 2008. During the 113th Congress, he also served as chairman of the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Asia and the Pacific, where he focused on opening new markets and expanding trade opportunities for American businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, Chairman Chabot.
Thanks, Wendy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Wendy, and thank you all for allowing me to speak for a little while here this afternoon. I greatly appreciate it, and thank you, Wendy, for all that the Kauffman Foundation does for small businesses and entrepreneurship all over the country. And as Wendy mentioned, I've been chair of the House Small Business Committee for about a year now, but I've been on the committee for about 20 years. I'm also on the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Judiciary Committee as well. And my district is Cincinnati, and as most of you probably know, Congress is actually out of session this week, so most of my colleagues are back in their districts, and we had a full schedule this week. But when I heard that you wanted me to talk about entrepreneurship, I really dropped everything to get up here because I feel that strongly about the importance of how we can empower entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs in this country and what it means for so many people. So I wanted to do a good job, and I actually wanted to do a better job than I did some years ago when I spoke at my daughter's class. I think she was like in the 1st grade at the time. It was one of these bring your dad to class and tell them about their job kind of things. And after I got done speaking to these little 1st graders, this little girl came up to me, and she was just a little thing. And she looked up at me and she said, "Sir, that's the worst speech I ever heard." So I felt kind of bad, you know, what I say wrong to these kids. So my daughter wanted to cheer me up. So she said, "Dad, don't worry about her. She just repeats what all the other kids say." So I'll try to do a better job here this afternoon and keep it brief as well. And as chairman of the Small Business Committee, a big part of my job is to make sure that people know how important small businesses are to the American economy. Communities of every size across the country know that, and Washington must understand that. Research like the Kauffman Foundation's Main Street Entrepreneurship Index helps us understand even better what we hear from our small business owners back home and from those who come up to testify before the Small Business Committee. And we've made it a practice to get as many small business folks from all over the country coming and telling us what their problems are, how we can make life better, and generally tell us to, you know, get out of the way, because government has a tendency oftentimes to be obstruction to their success. And so we need to learn that as well. As I listen to these entrepreneurs, I often think about Wilbur and Orville Wright. They were Ohio innovators from just north of my district in Dayton. When people ask them what made their machine fly, the Wright brothers didn't get into a physics lesson. They cut straight to the heart of the matter. They simply said, the airplane stays up because it doesn't have the time to fall. A century later, in the face of the rough headwinds of high taxation and overregulation, our entrepreneurs say the same thing. They stay up because they don't have time to fall. It's truly remarkable how our small businesses can continue to create jobs and grow the economy when, on an almost daily basis, Washington seems intent on throwing up new obstacles that threaten to impede their success. That's what we on the Small Business Committee are trying very hard to change. With nearly half of the workforce going to work every day at a small business, and about 70%, 7 out of 10 new jobs created in the American economy today are created by small business persons, entrepreneurs by definition. Washington, when we do things, oftentimes it affects small businesses and it impacts literally millions and millions of Americans across the country who support their families as a direct result of entrepreneurs and small businesses. As chairman, I'm 100% committed to making sure that the voices of small businesses are heard here in Washington, D.C. In December, our new speaker, Paul Ryan, laid out an agenda for what he called a confident America. His main point was that restoring confidence in the American economy is the key. Nowhere is confidence a bigger factor than with entrepreneurship. Investors need confidence that their risk is worthwhile. Innovators need confidence that their dreams really are within reach. And entrepreneurs need confidence, just like the Wright brothers, that they can get off the ground and stay off the ground in whatever it is that they intend to do. If you're like most people, and you're more concerned with making a living and taking care of your family than following the day-to-day movements in Congress, let me tell you something that might surprise you. At the Small Business Committee, we actually get along. Republicans and Democrats on our committee actually work together. Not all committees is that the case. Not all the time in Washington is that the case, but on our Small Business Committee, it really is. Nydia Velasquez, who happens to be the ranking member from New York, Democrat, she and I have worked together. She was chair and I was her ranking member, and we've done this for a number of years now, and people will tell you it actually works. It's one committee that people are starting to point to is the way Washington could actually work. As chairman, it's important to me that every member, no matter how long they've been on the committee or what their area of expertise might be, feels that they have a role to play and that their ideas will be fully considered and that there's a good chance that those ideas will actually be acted upon, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. That's why I'm so encouraged by Speaker Ryan's plan to give the American people a real reform agenda that's building from the bottom up. As part of that effort, I'm helping to lead a task force to reduce the regulatory burden on American small businesses. It's one of several that the Speaker has set up to do something that I've seen really works, and that's invite everyone to come forward and share their ideas on how best to grow the economy and empower entrepreneurs. It's the way I approach my role as chairman of the Small Business Committee. And here are just a few examples of how it's been working on the committee. Last year, we passed the Veterans Entrepreneurship Act to waive the upfront fees for the Small Business Administration's 7A loan program, express loans for veterans and their spouses. We also passed the Rise After Disaster Act to help businesses ravaged by Superstorm Sandy and victims of natural disasters in the future to get the help that they need from the SBA, the Small Business Administration. We also passed key provisions in the 2016 National Defense Authorization Act to help small firms compete for contracts with the Defense Department. This will obviously benefit entrepreneurs and their employees, but it also benefits the folks footing the bill, the taxpayers, to make sure that they're getting their bang for the buck. You know, in Washington, the term bipartisan gets thrown around a lot. Doesn't really happen much, but you hear the term a lot. But on the Small Business Committee, we're committed to doing it. Republicans and Democrats, as I said, actually work together on the committee. We make it a habit to talk with the Democrats on the committee, even when a bill that we're considering is being written. If we can't work in their suggestions at that point, we talk to them about the best way that they can offer amendments, and not just offer amendments that go down a party line vote where all the Republicans vote against it, the Democrats vote for it, and they're in the minority so they don't happen. But we actually include their amendments in the bill. That's how we approach the bills that I just mentioned, and now those bills are the law of the land. Another area that we've emphasized on the Small Business Committee to promote entrepreneurship is access to capital. Money is obviously critical for an entrepreneur to get his or her business started and up off the ground in the first place, and it's critical to expanding and creating more jobs in the economy, an economy that still has a lot of room for growth. Towards this goal, our committee has done everything within its power to fully fund the 7A loan program. We've also done everything possible to open new doors for economic development through local certified development companies, or CDCs, and we've supported the Small Business Investment Companies, the SBIC program. And just last week, we introduced bipartisan legislation to help more entrepreneurs gain access to capital through angel investors. Our committee is also committed to exercising serious oversight of the SBA to ensure that America's small businesses are being served efficiently and effectively. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs over the years who've told me how daunting, how paperwork intensive the process can be to obtain a loan through the SBA. It's not uncommon for these entrepreneurs to get so frustrated with the length of time that it takes, or to the multiple documents that they've had to send, and then they get lost, and then they have to send them again, that they've oftentimes just given up in exasperation. We're determined to make sure that the SBA actually deals with their customers in a customer-friendly manner, so they have a customer-friendly experience. We're not there yet, but we're not giving up. As I told the SBA administrator at a hearing last month, when she was testifying before the Small Business Committee, entrepreneurs and taxpayers have every right to expect that agencies charged with helping small businesses treat entrepreneurs as valued customers. She's assured me that they will continue to improve, and I intend to hold her to that. Looking toward the next couple years, the most important step Congress can take to empower America's entrepreneurs, I believe, is to fundamentally reform our tax code. Now, it's a presidential election year, so realistically, that probably makes attaining this goal more challenging. We did make some progress at the end of last year. We made permanent the increases for Section 179 expensing, the research and development tax credit, and we expanded bonus depreciation through 2019. That's a good start, but simplifying the tax code, broadening the base, and lowering marginal rates would be a huge boost for entrepreneurs across America. Even though we may not be able to accomplish this in 2016, Congress should be working on it now. And depending on how the election goes at the presidential and congressional levels this November, hopefully we can accomplish major tax reform first thing next year. Of course, that all depends on who wins in November. On the Republican side, Trump seems to be the guy to beat at this point in time. On the Democratic side, the nominee could well be a socialist, or perhaps Bernie Sanders will be their nominee. A little humor there. You know, Ronald Reagan was somebody who really liked to use humor, and he would have been 105 about a week and a half ago, and he used to like to poke fun at socialism and Soviet Union in particular. And one story that he liked to tell was about how long it takes to get an automobile in the former Soviet Union. It can take years and years, and this guy had saved up his money and went down to the appropriate bureau and filled out all the paperwork and gave him his money, and the clerk said, okay, you can come back and get your car in 10 years. And he said, morning or afternoon. And so the clerk said, morning or afternoon? He said, we're talking 10 years from now. He said, what difference does it make if it's morning or afternoon? And the guy said, well, the plumber's coming in the morning. So anyway, Ronald Reagan, loved him. Of course, it's impossible to predict what will happen in the future. Who thought we'd lose one of our great jurists of this time? I believe this past weekend. We hardly had the chance to reflect on Justice Scalia's remarkable life before the fight was over, who the replacement would be and who would actually make the replacement. You know, the talk began virtually immediately. That's just the way Washington is. That's why we have to stay diligent if we really want to reform the tax code. We have to keep talking about it and working on it, and if we do, hopefully the candidates for Congress, both on the Republican and the Democratic side, will discuss this, will argue about it, will debate it as one of the more important issues in the presidential election year. That's important if we're actually going to accomplish this next year. In order to promote entrepreneurship in this country, one final area that must not be ignored is trade. After all, even though we often think immediately of large corporations when we think of trade, of those U.S. companies who export their product, 98% of those businesses are by definition small businesses. Eliminating foreign barriers to U.S. exports should be a principal goal in promoting entrepreneurship. And intellectual property rights must be protected in order to make sure that entrepreneurs' innovations are not stolen without just compensation. However, significant free trade agreements such as TPP with our Pacific Rim partners or TTIP with our European allies are going to be very tough to get across the finish line, in my opinion, during this election year. Democrats oppose them principally because the unions hate them, and a significant number of my Republican colleagues, although probably still a minority, oppose them because many conservatives believe they give the president too much power. I disagree with that point of view, but that's the point of view of a lot of my colleagues, including Donald Trump and a number of the other candidates. Hillary Clinton has come out against the trade deals. A number of people have. So this many people in the limelight cutting out of them is going to make it, I think, tougher to get these across the finish line this year. I think that's unfortunate, but probably the case. Let me just conclude by acknowledging that American entrepreneurship has never been easy. Every moment in our history has had its own set of challenges. We must always remember that it's not Washington policymakers who move us forward, it's our entrepreneurs. And what's good for entrepreneurs, in my view, is good for America. Thank you very much.